120 points lower on the Sensex, higher on the Sensex, and 30 points higher on the Nifty. So that's a start for you, at least as far as indices are concerned. Yesterday was flat, but of course it was off the lows big time, and it was outperformance. So it's a quieter start this morning. 24,400 around is where the Nifty is starting at. Nifty Bank straight off the bat, and I think we should look at banks because that LCR norms, draft norms from RBI will take a bite out of some of these banking names. It's starting 0.4 down. The index, that is. Mid-cap index is up 0.6%, and I think the small-cap index also should be higher. So broader markets outperforming. Market breadth is about 3:1 in favor of advances straight out of the gates. Some of the big movers in terms of stocks are at the bottom of the screen on the Nifty, but lots to track. Sonia.
To track. So let's begin with, actually the mid-cap index is flying off the shelf right now, 460 points higher. So really the broader market is opening up. In terms of individual stocks, the Hindalco, Kotak Bank, Sun Pharma, Coal India are your top gainers on the index right now. By the way, Mankind Pharma is also in focus, right? So 3% higher last time I checked on Mankind Pharma. And a couple of other stocks. Remember, Tata Motors had that upgrade yesterday. So that one continues to see some more traction on the upside this morning, up about 1%. So keep an eye out on that. A couple of other stocks that we're looking at this morning. Soba, there is a large trade that has happened in Soba. About 5% equity has changed hands. So that stock is down almost about 2.5%. And a couple of other names on the Nifty that we're looking at this morning. ICICI Bank comes out with numbers tomorrow. IndusInd Bank also awaiting numbers. So those stocks ahead of the earnings are a tad bit under pressure. HDFC Bank is also under pressure. So the Bank Nifty is the one that's really dragging right now, down almost about 260 points. So that is the space to look at. Apart from that, Tech Mahindra is also your big loser right now. 4% knockdown on Tech Mahindra on the back of muted earnings. So not looking good there at all. Couple of other stocks in the broader markets. Now the Bank Nifty, by the way, is down almost 300 points. In the broader markets, Federal Bank is under a lot of pressure. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, IDFC First Bank, IDBI Bank, any bank you pick is seeing a cut of anywhere between 1 to 2%. On the upside, Ashok Leyland is up about 3.5%. The management commentary was quite positive in the interview that we just had a while back. They're very optimistic about the MHCV growth and going forward as well. They saw an 8% growth in MHCV segment this time in this quarter, and going forward as well, things will pick up. Apart from that, Indus Towers is up 3.5%. SAIL, Vedanta also looking pretty good. But otherwise, it's the Bank Nifty that's dragging this morning.
Well, that's right, Sonia. Indus Towers, that one has run away because they're going to be considering a buyback. The street was waiting for an announcement with regard to a dividend. They have gone for the buyback route. So that explains why that stock, in fact, is high. They'll be having a board meet with regard to that. Texmaco Rail, that stock is flying away, one of the top volume movers on the upside. They've acquired Jindal Rail Infra for around 615 crores, beg your pardon. So that stock, in fact, is up close to around 2.5%, and it opened with a gain of more than 5%. PL Kashyap, they have bagged a new order worth around 160 crores. So that one as well has opened up well in the green. SJVN, one of the big movers this morning. They've got an LOI for a project worth around 13,000 crores from the Mizoram government. So that's why that's up more than 10% as we speak. Vedanta, they'll be considering a dividend meeting later today. Vedanta Resources, well, that one got an upgrade as well late in trade yesterday. So that's building onto yesterday's gains. Federal Bank, the stock is lower because, as the IFL analyst Ricken told us, that it will get the hardest hit by the RBI draft proposals. That explains why that's pulled back close to around 5%. Loris, yesterday we did see a bit of a pullback in late trade because of the commentary. But the stock starts off, a little bit lower. It was down close to around 3%. It's pulled back a little bit. At the bottom of the screen, you have Sterling and Wilson. They have bagged an order for around 330 crores. So that one as well is up and about. So good start. 50 points. August series starts off in the green.
And so absolutely, and it's a good one, right? So a few other names where there is a lot of action and sort of excitement. Telecom, right? You mentioned Indus Tower, Nigel, but Idea is up about 3% as well. Almost 15.6 or so on Idea. And of course, Indus has been the favorite. So those who want to pick Bharat, this or that, Indus is the common favorite. Well, VST Industries had a big sell-off day before yesterday, I think, 7-8%. It's coming up with a 2.5% pop right now. Ashok Leyland is up about 4%. I think Sonia mentioned this earlier. But look at Emphasis. Emphasis is now a 3% higher. I'm not sure if the start was lower, but it's seen a big recovery from where it began. Raymond is starting about 3.5% higher. You've got Motilal Oswal Financial Services. I think that's the highest ever quarterly numbers, earnings for Motilal, 2.5% up on Motilal. There is Ixigo, which is the travel portal, 2.5% up, 177. Venus Pipes is up 2.5%. Go Digit, that reported numbers, and Yash had highlighted the earnings. That's the big mover today, 7.5% on Go Digit in terms of upside earnings reactions, which are coming through. It's, of course, a fairly recent listing as well, which is coming through. On the downside, you've got MMTC. I think it's had a couple of 20% days. It's down 3%, very large volumes. Tech Mahindra is down 4%. That reported numbers yesterday, post-market hours. Sobha is down 4%. And Mankind is down 2%. So that's interesting. I think in the pre-open that was indicating a bit of a a higher start, but it's a lower kind of start, at least for now. It's a large acquisition, and they've kind of gone all in on one deal with this very large acquisition. So we'll see. Cyient, of course, Rima has been highlighting this. So very poor numbers. Stocks down almost a full 9% now. And STC India, RBL Bank, Chennai Petro, SBI Card, Route Mobile, BSC. These are all nothing large, but between 1 and 1.5% down at this stage.
Also,
Yes.
just wanted to mention Tata Power. UBS has initiated a buy on Tata Power. They have a target price of 510 on that stock, and they talk about how the energy transition theme, right, is one theme that's really working well for them. And there's very strong EBITDA growth that they're looking at because of their foray into renewables, power generation, of course, but solar equipment manufacturing, large-scale solar EPC projects, etc., and how valuations also look pretty reasonable. So that's one stock info.
I just want to pull up Ramco Cement. The intraday chart should come out. The stock started off in the red with a cut of around 2.5% approximately. There are challenges over there because there's more competition. Pricing is under pressure. The stock has now recovered 4% from the low point of the day. Why is that? The street has two positives. One is their focus on reducing debt. They're talking about reducing debt by 1,000 crores in 12 months. And the second factor is they're saying that in the next 2 years, there'll be a 30 million ton capacity. Earlier, they were talking at around 26 million ton capacity. So it explains why the stock has recovered close to 4% from the low point of the day.
Absolutely. And it's a big mover in terms of the sort of action so far.